Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. I am Browne with the details. The visit to SVG by a 20-member GARIFUNA delegation as part of the Vinci Homecoming Program 2019 has been considered an eye-opener, and plans are in the works to make the visit annual. Members of the GARIFUNA delegation arrived in the state last Wednesday and were engaged in a packed program of activities, which included visits to historical sites such as Baliso, GARIFUNA communities, and the obelisk at Dorsetshire Hill, where they consider a sacred ground for the sacrifice made by this country's national hero, Joseph Chatelier. Speaking at a farewell ceremony last evening, GARIFUNA advocate Rosita Alvarez said she was grateful to all those who helped make the pilgrimage to SVG possible. She said her experience here was more than what she expected and was delighted with some of the stories she was told come to life.
Our ancestors that were driven from St. Vincent, because they were driven from St. Vincent, they were the blessed and lucky ones because we are the ones that kept the culture alive. We are the ones that were taught every little bit of a GARIFUNA culture that we need to keep with us, that we need to carry with us throughout our lives. I have today sitting here with us Ms. Damiana Nunes. She had always spoke to me about St. Vincent. She spoke to me about Balisong. She spoke to me about a tunnel that the GARIFUNA people dug so that they could be safe while they were fighting with the British. And we lived the reality of driving through that tunnel one day this week.
Operational Control in the Department of Culture, Maxine Browne, said she is inspired by the love shown by the visiting GARIFUNA delegation to SVG. She said their visit is a stepping stone towards a greater love and appreciation for GARIFUNA history and culture.
Such admiration, such loyalty, a must-see, a must-go-to and embrace, makes me gravitate even more to this land we all call home, sweet, sweet SVG, the land we so love. It is important to note that our ancestors will have toiled, will have suffered long and hard in this land. But although they were banished and left to die in Baliso, the noise they made was just too loud for the naysayers. Leyahu Yume was just too loud, too deafening for them to keep hushed and covered up. And that's why we're here today, as we continue to revive, reclaim, recapture the stories untold. Now we know the truth, and through this knowledge, this resilience, we are able to continue this journey. Long live Garinagu, hail GARIFUNA.
Minister of Sport and Culture Cecil McKee said it is his hope that more persons from the GARIFUNA diaspora will come to SVG, their ancestral homeland. Minister McKee said the visit is beneficial to SVG not just from a cultural standpoint, but also tourism-wise.
I'm sure that all of you that came this year, that you are now full ambassadors of the GARIFUNA homecoming. And you're going to go back and tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, your church community, you're going to tell everyone what a wonderful experience you had and invite them to come in 2020. And I'm sure a number of you would want to come yourselves. You have experienced a lot of the heritage, cultural heritage of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you might not be aware of it, but your coming here at this time of the year also added to my tourism statistics. So in other words, you're not only here for the cultural exchange, but this is cultural and heritage tourism at its very best. So do not downplay or underestimate the value of this exchange program that we have started here.
Acting Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for North Windward, Montgomery Daniel, reiterated a call for compensation for the historical wrong committed against the indigenous peoples of SVG. Speaking last evening's farewell ceremony, Daniel said the GARIFUNAs are scattered around the world and has suffered tremendous loss. Whilst questioning whether the GARIFUNA people should wait another 5 years to rekindle relationships, Daniel said in the meantime the GARIFUNA story should continue to be told.
Belize is to have the gain. What about the people here in Urumi? Who pays for the loss? So that Council General, you need to answer that question. And I need to ask you to answer it before you go. Because the genocide that has been placed on the people, the indigenous people here, is real and it's touching. And this government has been calling for compensation on what has transpired on my foreparents many years ago. They may not have been able to speak that story. And for those of us who can speak it, let us do it. Therefore, what is going to be our agenda when we leave here?
Over 100 young persons in the North Windward area are seizing the opportunity to learn more about the history of this country's national hero, Joseph Chartier, and the GARIFUNA people. This through a GARIFUNA Heritage Camp being hosted by the Oya Heritage Organization. The participants have been engaged in several activities for 3 weeks, running including a visit to the obelisk erected here at Dorsetshire Hill to remember the sacrifice made by Paramount Chief Joseph Chartier. Chairperson of the Oya Heritage Organization, Ingrid Lavia, said she was delighted to host the camp, which helps to foster a greater appreciation for the GARIFUNA heritage and history, including the language.
It's officially our last day. We have our closing ceremony tomorrow at the Oya Government School, and at the camp they have been learning a lot. The children have enjoyed themselves. We are doing GARIFUNA language. Okay, we had Sharon, she's from Florida, okay, originally from Belize, but she was here with us to teach the language and give a little insight on the history of the GARIFUNA people. And we also had arts and craft. We did some dancing. We have Andrea, also from America, originally also from Belize, and she has been doing the GARIFUNA dance, the punta, and the quadrille, and a few other dances that I'm not familiar with, yes. Yes, I think so, because the children were really enthusiastic and they did learn a lot about the language.
A representative of the organization, Human Understanding of Our GARIFUNA Gifts, Andrea Lopez Wesby, said she was delighted to impart her knowledge to the participants of the camp.
I wanted to teach them the hugu hugu, the parana and the gunjai first, because everybody used to the punta, and in those days we doesn't do the punta like how it's on the YouTube now. It's too vulgar. When I teach the kids, or how we were learn to do it, we teach them, we learn it in a respectful and graceful way. So I told them that punta, our GARIFUNA culture is more than punta. We have to teach them about the spirituality. One thing divides us as GARIFUNA people, that's what we come and teach the kids, is politics and religion. And we wanted the kids to know that GARIFUNA people are of different shades. Some said they're Carib, some said they're GARIFUNA, some Kalinago. We are GARIFUNA people, because we doesn't come with any shades.
Wesby said the children will be able to showcase what they learned during the 3-week period at a talent show to be held at the Oya Government School tomorrow afternoon. She added that the experience in SVG was also a learning experience for her.
The children catching on good. I didn't teach them the other two part of the birthday song because of the time. So we're going to have a talent show tomorrow in Oya. And then we close out tomorrow with a talent show with all what they learned for the past 2 weeks. So I want to thank the people of Oya. We were here 2017 for the first ever pilgrimage to be held in Urumi after 222 years. So we had the first Mass at the Catholic Church in Kingston for Mass of Forgiveness and Healing, and we went around on a pilgrimage. We went up all the way in Fancy, we went up in Baroli, we went up everywhere for that pilgrimage. So we're back, but it's a blessing to be living with our people instead of being in a hotel. because then we get to share the culture, their food, we get to share all the medicine, the herbal medicine are growing around them and all that. So it's, no money can pay for the experience that I'm going through.
During their visit at the obelisk, some of the camp participants took the opportunity to sing a song in the GARIFUNA language. A retired senior civil servant here says the work and occupation of teachers across the region must be seen as beyond the classroom if they are to make a real impact in nation building. Delivering the keynote address at the opening of the 39th Biennial Conference of the Caribbean Teachers Union on Monday evening, Nathaniel Williams, who also served 35 years in civil service, said given the changes taking place in the world today, teaching should not be confined to the classroom.
By confining teaching professional education services to the classroom, we are creating a sense of monopsony. Now, one may ask me, what is monopsony? Monopsony is the opposite of monopoly. Monopoly is where there is one seller and many buyers, and therefore the seller controls the market. The current context of education in the English-speaking Caribbean is where there are many sellers of service, but predominantly one buyer. And because there is one buyer of the service, it allows that buyer of the service to have significant control over the content, the terms of reference, and the manner in which the service is actually sold and used.
Williams told the gathering that no matter what institutional developments are addressed, if the fundamental values of education and the weighted average of an educator is not brought into question and fully recognized, no real development can take place in a balanced form.
Police, law, the prison cannot truly bring peace and development in a community without proper educational development. Education is essential to the transformation, peace, and security of any community. Hence, the educator is of great importance in nation building. But ladies and gentlemen, I went and spoke a little about the historical narrative that lead us to where we are.
The retired civil servant encouraged teachers to find a new path for engagement, noting that they cannot be confined to their livelihood to the classroom.
Which other profession of your sort is in your circumstance? The doctors work in the hospital and then find time to have their own shingles and make their own money. The lawyers work in the legal department of the government, but they find time to do business. The accountants and the economists and all the social sciences, they all have ways of making other forms of income. If the teacher is therefore confined to the classroom, and the only means of livelihood is that which he or she receives from the state, then by virtue of that, you have put yourself at a weakened position in any negotiation. That is why there could be impasse between unions and certain state actors.
The 39th Biennial Caribbean Union of Teachers Conference is continuing here for the rest of the week under the theme, Caribbean Educators and Their Unions Taking the Lead. 30 laptops were donated to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the ASUS Foundation to be distributed to various learning centers in the country. The laptops were handed over today by Deputy Chief of Mission of Taiwan, Embassy James Chu, to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sandy Peters-Phillips. The ASUS Foundation has been partnering with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Republic of China on Taiwan to provide learning opportunities to students and others in the respective communities. Speaking at today's handing over ceremony, a chairperson, Westford Joseph, said the relationship between Taiwan and SVG has been a fruitful one, and that the past couple of weeks was monumental in the strengthening of the relationship with a state visit by Taiwan's president to SVG on July the 16th and 17th, and the current visit by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves to Taiwan, where SVG's first embassy in Taipei will be opened later this evening.
Although today's ceremony may seem small in comparison, it is occasions such as these which show that the relationship between SVG and Taiwan is a fruitful one built on the principles of respect, cooperation, and mutual benefits. Taiwan has contributed significantly towards the development trust of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and likewise, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has readily and wholeheartedly advocated for the full participation of Taiwan in the international community. Today's donation of laptop will not stop at benefiting learning centers, but will have a ripple effect in increasing the technological competency of persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, hence translating to economic growth.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sandy Peters-Phillips, said that SVG is grateful for the significant contributions of the ASUS Foundation. She said that the donation was made possible from the diplomatic relationship between SVG and Taiwan.
I want to assure you that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will continue to partner with our friends from Taiwan to expand and develop initiatives on the cooperation pillars to further our own development. Moreover, I am sure with the joint efforts of our two sides, more and more Vincentians and Taiwanese will have access to available opportunities that will enhance development and furthermore inject fresh vigor into the social and economic development of both countries. Once again, I want to express sincere thanks and appreciation to the ASUS Foundation for this very important contribution, and to the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, for facilitating this proposal. I can assure you that they will be very much utilized. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Deputy Chief of Mission at the Taiwan Embassy here in SVG, James Chu, thanked the ASUS Foundation for making the donation possible, so that they can continue to provide learning opportunities to students here in SVG. He said that the last donation was 35 laptops in 2017.
This year, ASUS decides to donate 30 new Browne laptops to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to carry on their ideas. These laptops will be distributed to schools, vocational training centers, and resources centers as well, to enhance the digital capabilities of Vincentians' youth. Before I, on behalf of ASUS, to hand over the laptops to PS Sandy Peters-Phillips, Ministries of Foreign Affairs, SVGs, I would like to credit my colleague, Secretary Lian Huiting, who has liaisons with ASUS aggressively on this case. And of course, thanks again for the ASUS Foundation generosities. Without them, we won't be here today. Thank you so much.
Two community stalwarts were recognized today for their contribution to the development of SVG. Winston Little and Julian Jack were both awarded plaques by the Joseph Da Silva Senior Memorial Home as part of its first anniversary celebrations. Little served for many years as a linesman with the St. Vincent and Grenadines Electricity Company Limited, Vinlect, and after retirement in 1993, he continued to serve his community, while Jack served as an educator and trade unionist. Manager of the Joseph Da Silva Memorial Home, Asfo Stevens, took the opportunity to highlight one of Jack's accomplishments, which he said continues to be of benefit to teachers here.
In 1995, we had what was considered one of the biggest strikes being conducted by teachers. But when the teachers went on strike, many were dismissed, and many had financial constraints. And the only avenue, or one of the avenues through which their finances was, they were able to gain financial independence was through a credit union whose foundation started with Mr. Jack. Today, there's a building in Kingston that cost over $7 million, which is the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Credit Union building.
Earlier today, telecommunications company Flow held its annual scholarship award ceremony at French's House. Speaking at the event, country manager Wayne Hull said this year the company's scholarship program has achieved a milestone of 35 years, which is a representation of his commitment to invest in social initiatives to build SVG. Hull also noted that this year, the company is investing just over 60,000 EC dollars in scholarships, grants, and prizes to students from the secondary to the community college level to assist them with their education. This year's new scholarship holders are Desvon John, Amara Adams, Niles D'Souza. In addition, Samila Young, Keonzo Young, Ananda Henry, and Otavia John receive one-off bursaries. Senior Education Officer of Secondary Schools, K. Martin Jack, in her address, implored parents to play an active role in the children's lives, not only at orientation and graduation. She advocated the need of interaction between parents and teachers so children and parents alike can be held accountable. She commended Flo on its commitment to youth academic development. The police are investigating a report of robbery and attempted robbery in the Fountain area yesterday, made by 2 medical students. The police said one of the virtual complainants, a male in his report, alleges that an unknown person, armed with a gun, robbed him of a number of items including a black backpack containing one ASUS laptop, a Samsung Galaxy Note cellular phone, a brown wallet with cash. The police said in the other report that of attempted robbery, the virtual complainant, a female, alleges that an unknown person pointed a gun at her at the Fountain area around the same time yesterday morning at 8:10 a.m. The police are soliciting the assistance of members of the public with vital information about these cases that will aid the investigation and the prosecution of offenders, or any other reports to divulge the same assistance to the Commissioner in charge of crimes at 1784-456-1339 or the officer in charge of South Central Division at 1784-458-4200. All information will be treated as confidential. St. Lucia Prime Minister maintains his government took the best decision not to give in to Virgin Atlantic's demands. This from the region. When we return, stay with us.